Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks to everyone who watched my first video. I'm really pleased with the views it got and it sounds like it helped some people. As you mentioned, it's like the previous video, I have a very loose script, which is why I'm looking up and down a lot. So I was only diagnosed about a year ago, throughout my time at school I didn't actually know I was autistic. I might have thought about it once or twice, but whenever I brought it up to any teachers or parents or whatever, it was pretty much brushed off. It just got a bit harder as I got older and the demands on me increased to keep on top of everything. So my yearbook, I got the award for being the most organised. So I always had my homework done in time. I always study for tests and exams like way in advance of the date. Lots of people were really they said, oh, what's your secret? I said, well, I just do it. The truth is I was absolutely terrified of failure. I very much was living on adrenaline. I was majorly anxious. I masked this. I had the odd little meltdown, but it was kind of very much the exception. I was really anxious all the time. It's kind of on the verge of burning out. I know my mum and dad were quite worried about me at times. I did have a bit of a social life. It kind of got better as I went further on in school, but pretty much I would go do a few clubs and then I would come home and spend most of probably about 2-3 hours a day studying and doing homework, and if I did anything less than that, I felt that I had failed or that I was being lazy or I was slacking off. I was convinced that because I took everything literally, so lots of, it's like in a high school class, you get some people who are really studious and really want to do well, and then you get people who just don't care. So yeah, I would say most people didn't really care, or they certainly gave that impression. Teachers would sometimes make kind of empty threats about how we would never get a job if we failed this test or didn't do well, and I took it literally. It wasn't the intention for that, and I would kind of blow things out of proportion and take them out of context. I did pretty well across the board. I did particularly well in literacy subjects, so English, history, like religious studies, anything that involved essay writing, a lot of reading and essay writing. My undergraduate degree is actually in history, so I kind of took that all the way. Maths was okay. I found it to get the same grades. I found the effort I had to put in compared to English and history was a lot more, and it caused me a lot more stress than other subjects did. I was very much a perfectionist. I kind of expected A's from myself, and if I got anything less than that, I was not happy. People did make fun of me for this a little bit, particularly sort of in the younger secondary years. I kind of wore it almost as a badge of honour, like, oh, other people are off goofing off and down the beach drinking or whatever. So I always felt, oh, I'm above that, I'm better than them. Or at least that's what I told myself at the time, to kind of cope with the social kind of isolation that I experienced as a result of what I was doing. So one thing that I was really insecure about at the time was that I was visibly coping well with school. Like, I was excelling in all my grades and I was really organised and I was really engaged, but it kind of took all of my mental energy to maintain that. So the thought of then going out to do a part-time job, it was just inconceivable. I mean, I was barely holding myself together doing what I was doing, and it made me feel really inadequate that I just knew I just couldn't do. And then the other people who did, some of them did almost as well as me, to be honest, and they seemed to be able to go off and do work for hours and go out and socialise and do all these things, and yeah, I was just trying to keep my head above the parapet with school. And I did a few extracurricular stuff, but it was always felt like it was a little bit of an intrusion, because I felt, oh, if I don't, I'm only doing this because if I don't do anything else, I'll never get into uni because I can't put it on my personal statement. And what's really sad is that no matter how well I did, how many A's I got, good grades, any criticisms I get, because I am rejection sensitive. I don't really know enough about it to say if I have rejection sensitive dysphoria, but I certainly react really badly to criticism, even if it is constructive. I kind of almost get really defensive about it, and particularly sometimes it arises from the fact that I haven't understood something or I've misinterpreted something that someone said, things like that. So no matter how well I did, I always felt like I was still a failure, that there's still something missing. And at the end of that, I don't think I was really prepared for real life. And I just felt like I really still struggle. Even quite simple thing like doing like paying bills and stuff makes me really, really anxious for no real reason. Like it's not but I very much perceive it as a threat. Like if I mess this up, then I'll be in trouble or something bad will happen. And I like imagine myself being carted off to jail and things like that. And when I kind of share these concerns, people are often quite dismissive or tell me I'm being ridiculous. And sometimes they get a bit annoyed at me. It's like, why are you even thinking about that? It's so stupid. And kind of shame me about thinking these things. But it is coming from somewhere genuine, even if the fear itself isn't rational. So one thing about school, which I think made it bearable, is that I had enough sympathetic teachers. So ones that at least like kind of understood where I was coming from, who kind of knew how to approach me, and that I kind of needed something different from other people. And my friends as well. I was really lucky. I had a really nice group of friends who were interested in a lot of the same things as me. Yeah, we kind of all respected and understood each other's differences as much as I think we had in common. And we didn't pressure each other to do things that we didn't want to do. So that was all. I stayed really close to most of them. So yeah, so none of them particularly enjoyed or thrived really in school, even the ones who had comparable grades to me. So a lot of these themes continued into uni. So I ended up with a first class honours degree. So I worked really, really hard to achieve that though. Way too hard. So I think like achieving it in itself is an end, but I don't think my life has had any additional benefit from having the first class compared to if I'd got a 2-1 or a 2-2, so it's like you could argue was that extra effort really worth it, or would it have been more benefit to me overall if I'd spent that more socialising or maybe doing some extracurricular stuff? But then you can imagine, well, would I have burnt out anyway? I mean, I don't know if I was back in that position again. I don't know if I would do anything differently, even knowing what I know now, so that I did find a lot of things difficult. Again, I just felt like I was constantly treading water, really. I did have like some friends, not a particularly close group, but just odd sort of like acquaintances here and there. But I really struggle. I liked going out and partying and stuff, but only to a point. And the point that a lot of people wanted to do it was way past my comfort zone or my levels of what I could cope with. So I kind of felt like I had to push myself like further than really my body was wanting to go. And I felt like there was something wrong with me for that. I wasn't really comfortable. I was very, very insecure about myself, and I always felt like I was constantly failing my own expectations. I didn't have a part-time job. I worked during the summers when I wasn't studying, so that was fine. But I didn't try to juggle work and studying at the same time. I was lucky that I was in the financial position I didn't have to do that. So I know that lots of people that is not the case, and it is a really, really hard juggling that. And some of them have like older students have their own families and stuff. So yeah, I'm not really sure if I could cope with doing that, so good on them. But I did get there. So it goes to show that even if you do have conditions such as autism or ADHD or whatever, it is possible. I think it would have been, had I had a diagnosis at the time, I don't even know how much extra support I would have gotten. I'm not really sure, because it doesn't really present in the way that they have the accommodations for, you know, or if I would have been honest about what I really needed, but I don't know. Or at least I would have felt less like it was a problem with me, or I wasn't trying hard enough, you know, things like that. So one thing I have been reflecting on in the last 5 years is, do I regret how I approached my time in school and at uni, you know, your sort of foundational years where you're learning about the world and how it works and just how to be an adult and things like that. Though, I mean, I didn't know any better at the time. I was just doing the best I could. And okay, I may have misinterpreted some things and blown things out of proportion, but, you know, I don't think anyone is perfect. Like, even people who seem to be doing really well, there will be problems beneath the surface, so they don't share those with other people because it was going to affect their kind of image. But in private, there is all these things going on. I think as well it would have been a slightly different experience because there's more awareness about neurodiversity and that it can present in different ways. I was at a webinar the other day where we were talking about how there's relatively new research about how in neurotypical brains, when you do the scans and stuff, they're more or less wired in similar ways, hence the term neurotypical. But in neurodivergent people, there wasn't like a type of neurodivergent brain that you could be one or the other. They were all different, so they all had, everything's a spectrum. So that was really interesting, and I think it explains why two people who are autistic could have very, very different support needs and very, very, very different strengths and kind of tolerance levels for different things. So I think it would have been affirming, sort of for my kind of inner experience at least. I might have been able to get maybe extra time for exams and stuff I don't even know if I need it. Maybe, I don't know. I think I would have made me more mindful of my limits as well, so I would have been less stressed and just would have enjoyed myself a bit more rather than constantly feeling like I was in survival mode, which, yeah, it is sad to think about, but there were happy times as well, of course. I mean, there were things I definitely enjoy doing and I kind of got a kick out of. So if I had any tips for anyone who kind of is maybe still going through this experience, or maybe relates to what I'm saying, is that I think it's important to be realistic about what you can do. So when they say give 100%, that doesn't mean like at max capacity all the time until you burn out. That just doesn't mean, that's just not what it means. And it's not advisable to do that. So rather than give 100%, do kind of what you can, because it's got to be a sustained effort. So then it takes probably a little bit to figure out the balancing act for that, but there's things you can do to kind of refill the pot. So making sure that you've got downtime and that you have people you can maybe share issues with. Getting out into nature helps as well. It's really kind of individual, I think. But that's a really good place to start. I think as well, doing your own research into learning about executive function, and how maybe there's areas you struggle. Maybe it's time management and time blindness. Maybe it's like forward planning, so making sure you have enough time to write essays. Things like that. And then so research sort of what your maybe specific difficulties are and then strategies that you can use to overcome that. So there's a whole load of things I could talk about there. So I probably would get into that in a separate video to give it the time it deserves. So if you are interested in that, do let me know and stick around. So yes, that was a little bit about my experience in academia as an undiagnosed autistic woman. Please comment, tell me what you thought. Subscribe for more, like the video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.